Hello peeps, welcome back to Big Deck Playa. It has been a while since there has been a video of this type. We've had the Big Deck Players Club podcasts, which have been a separate thing, but this is back. With the hiatus is over, the wait is over, and we're back. So today I have a deck for you, and this has been posted on Hearthstone because Hearthstone is, in my opinion, the best place to find these cool decks. This has been posted by Klubnes93. I think that's how you say it. Apologise if that's pronounced incorrectly. This is a Druid deck, and it's called the Staghelm Beast Easy Ranking. Okay, here we go. Here is the deck that we are taking a look at. So the first thing that I noticed was that there is no Innovate and there's no Wild Growth, which is kind of unusual for a Druid deck, because almost every Druid deck I think I've ever played has had one or the other or both. So this one doesn't have any. So let's start at the top and work our way down, because that's the traditional way of doing things. We start off, we have Living Roots for 1 mana, where you get to choose one, deal 2 damage, or summon 2 1/1 saplings. Now, there are a lot of choose one cards in this deck, and I'm going to skip down to Fandral Staghelm. Alright, so I managed to get Fandral Staghelm out of a pack of cards when I was opening. So he is a legendary, so without him in this deck, I mean the deck works okay if you don't have him, it works okay, but it works better with him because of the amount of choose one cards. So his special ability is you choose one card and both effects work. They both have both effects combined. So in this case of Living Roots, if you have Fandral Staghelm out on the board, when you cast Living Roots, it'll do 2 damage to something and summon the 2 1/1 saplings. Unfortunately, it's not a persistent thing, so as soon as Fandral Staghelm dies or gets silenced, then that effect no longer takes place, which is kind of sad because it's a really cool effect, and it's a really interesting new addition to Hearthstone. So I mean, he's a 3/5 for 4 mana. I mean, 5 health at 4 mana is probably quite easy to get rid of. I mean, mages especially is going to be tricky to get past, just because at 4 mana they have access to a fireball, and that'll probably be your first target. So playing him on curve is probably not the best idea unless you're playing it on a clear board and your opponent maybe doesn't know what they're doing. Otherwise, you might want to wait until later in the game before you play this, so you can play other things as well to get the most out of it. A bit like when you play Brand Bronzebeard. If you play him on 3 mana and nothing else, then chances are he's probably going to die. But if you play him later on in the game with a whole bunch of other things that have battle cries, then he's going to be more value. So, yeah, playing Fandral early is maybe not the best idea unless you're in a really strong position and your opponent is run out of cards or something. I don't know. But by turn 4, it's unlikely that's going to happen. We've got 2 Raven Idols, so again, another choose one. So you can, if you've got Fandral out, you can just discover a minion and a spell for 1 mana, which is super awesome. That's 2 cards for 1 mana, which, that's really, really good. We have 2 Mark of Asajj. I think that's how you say, I mean, that's how I pronounce it anyway. Give a minion +2/+2, and if it's a beast, draw a card. Now, chances are you're going to have a lot of beasts in this deck, because we've got quite a few of the Druid cards in here that they turn into beasts. So this is really, really good. This is really strong. So you get a card draw and you get to pump up a minion as well, which enables slightly smaller minions to trade better. I like to use this with the 3 mana Druid of the Flame. If you're playing on curve and you play the Druid of the Flame on turn 3, I quite often like to have it as a 2/5, because a lot of minions around the sort of 2-3 mana mark have 2 health. So Druid of the Flame should be able to trade with 2 creatures, which is really, really good value. But if you can pump it up with a Mark of Asajj, it becomes a 4/7, and suddenly, that's a lot more difficult for your opponent to deal with. Talking pumping up minions, we've also got 2 Power of the Wild, another choose one card. So give your minions +1/+1 or summon a 3/2 Panther. Obviously both of those effects will come into effect if you've got Fandral Staghelm on the board. I'm not sure in which order it happens, or if it happens like simultaneously with Power of the Wild. I don't think I've actually had an opportunity to use that in a combo. So I don't know if your 3-2 Panther would then become a 4-3 Panther. I would assume so. I would assume that that happens simultaneously, so you would get the 3-2 Panther and the buff to go with it. Also at 2 mana we have 2 Wrath, so this is deal 3 damage to a minion, or 1 damage and draw a card. Or with Fandral out, it's 4 damage and draw a card. 4 damage and draw a card for 2 mana? Yes please. This is why Fandral can be really, really useful, and why you maybe shouldn't play him on curve with, like, no protection. There's one Darnassus Aspirant to try and get some early game ramp. Obviously it's not great, because as soon as it dies, you lose that mana crystal again, so you kind of want to try and keep this alive for as long as possible. So when you're doing a mulligan at the beginning of the game, Darnassus Aspirant is probably one of the ones you want to try and get. We have 2 Druid of the Saber. Choose one, transform to gain charge. So it's a 2-1 with charge, or a 1-1 and stealth. This is another one which is pretty good for Mark of Asajj. You could play this turn 4 as a combo. So you could have a 2-1 with charge and then pump it up to a 4-3 with charge and draw a card with the Mark of Asajj, which would be quite nice. Pretty good. As I mentioned earlier, 3 mana we have Druid of the Flame, got 2 of those. So you can transform into a 5-2 or a 2-5. If you have Fandral out, then it becomes a 5-5 for 3 mana, which is good. Also at 3 mana we have 2 Mounted Raptors. These can be pretty useful, and it's a beast, so you can use Mark of Asajj on them if you need to pump them up a little bit. Well, I say a little bit, quite a lot. And the random 1-cost minion, in my experience there's quite a lot of like small taunts, and I keep getting these small taunts, and it's really annoying for my opponent because they get rid of the Mounted Raptor and then they go to hit face, but they can't because there's suddenly like a 0-4 shield bearer in the way. At 4 mana we have the trusty old Swipe for Druids, like just a staple of almost every Druid deck because it's really, really good. As I mentioned before, also at 4 mana we've got the Fandral Staghelm. The only problem I find with this deck is that sometimes you don't draw into Fandral Staghelm, and you don't get the benefit of his special ability, which means the deck isn't quite as strong as it possibly could be. So if there's anything I would change in this deck, I would try and find some more card draw from somewhere, because I think the deck needs it just so you can draw into Fandral earlier. Because sometimes I've played a few games where I'm down to my last 10 cards and I still haven't had him. Also at 4 mana we've got 2 Mire Keepers, which is another new one. It's a 3-3 for 4, which isn't great particularly stats wise, but you get to either summon a 2-2 slime or gain an empty mana crystal for a little bit more ramp. So another card you kind of want to play on curve to get that extra mana crystal and get your cards ramping up a little bit. We have 1 Savage Combatant, one of the better cards from one of the previous expansions. I think it was the Grand Tourney, because it's got the Inspire mechanic. Give your hero +2 attack when you inspire, so you end up hitting for 3 instead of for 1 when this bad boy is out on the board, which is pretty nice. We have 2 Wild Walkers, because we're playing a lot of beasts. So a 4-4 for 4, not too bad, but it gives a friendly beast +3 health. And then you're playing a lot of beasts, like Savage Combatant is considered a beast, the Mounted Raptors, when Druid of the Flame, Druid of the Saber, Power of the Wild, you know, they're all considered to be beasts once they're in their form. At 5 mana we have a Druid of the Claw, which again will turn into a beast, either a 4-4 with charge or a 4-6 with taunt, unless you've got Fandral out, in which case it'll be a 4-6 with taunt and charge, which is awesome. And as far as I'm aware, the card art for each of these is all different when you have Fandral out as well, which just makes it that little bit more interesting as well. At 6 mana we have a Sylvanas, which is kind of like different from everything else that's happened in this deck so far. But Sylvanas is just a really strong card in general, and because there's so many people playing Cthulhu decks at the moment, playing Sylvanas on like turn 9, just before they place Cthulhu down, then it's either going to make them not play Cthulhu, which you know, buys you some time at least. Or if they do play Cthulhu, Sylvanas is probably going to die, and then you're going to take Cthulhu away from them. The other thing that is a possibility is 4 mana. I know it got nerfed into the ground recently. The Keeper of the Grove, it got nerfed into the ground just before the release of the Old Gods. So it used to be a 2/4 for 4 mana and it dealt 2 damage or silence a minion, but now it's just a 2/2 for 4 mana, which is why you'll probably never see it played. But it might work in this deck because it has the choose one thing on it, so it will deal 2 damage and silence something. If you're coming up against a lot of Cthulhu decks, that could be a possible alternative to maybe put something in or take something out, maybe switch it for the Savage Combatant. But I think the deck works pretty well so far as is. Ancient of War, choose one, +5 attack or +5 health and taunt. Now, if you manage to get this bad boy out while Fandral is alive, you get a 10/10 with taunt for 7 mana, which is just incredible. Really, really good. And your opponent will have a hard time getting rid of something quite that sticky. And then finally, at 9 mana we have Cenarius, because he's also got to choose one. So give your other minions +2/+2, or summon 2/2/2 Treants with Taunt. It's a bit of a mouthful to say that. Well, obviously you get both, so you get the 2/2 Treants, and then everything gets +2/+2, which means your Treants will be +4/+4 with Taunt, which is pretty nice. It's not bad at all. And everything else gets pumped up as well. So if you've got Fandral out, he'll get the +2/+2, which will make him a 5/7, which is obviously a lot better and a lot more difficult to get rid of. So there are some combos that you can put out, but as I say, Fandral I think works better towards the late game, just because he is quite fragile. He does only have 5 health, so you know, and as soon as you place him on the board, your opponent is going to want to get rid of him. So like maybe turn 9, use Fandral and a Druid of the Claw so that he's behind a taunt and maybe he doesn't die straight away. But I'm having a lot of fun with this deck. It's a lot different to most other decks that I'm playing, because everything on ladder seems to be either Zoo or Cthulhu decks. Cthulhu decks wouldn't be so bad if the minions weren't quite as strong as they are, the ones that pump up Cthulhu. They're on curve. Like there's a 2 mana 2/3 and a 3 mana 3/4, and it's like if they'd taken off like one stat off of all of them, then it wouldn't be so bad. But Cthulhu decks are really strong, and I think maybe they're a bit too strong at the moment, because Cthulhu himself can get to ridiculous sizes. I mean, I've played Cthulhu decks. I know how ridiculous it can get. I played a priest deck and I got Cthulhu up to like 25 attack. So it's like, what a chance does your opponent really have when your Cthulhu does 25 damage as soon as it comes onto the board? So if you're fed up of playing Cthulhu decks, like I am, then this might be a good alternative. It does cost a little bit of dust to craft, because if you were crafting everything, there's 6,120 dust, which isn't really that much. I mean, you only got 1 Ancient of War, you got Cenarius, which I guess most people will probably have by now, unless you're new to the game, and Sylvanas Windrunner. So there's like 3 legendaries in there, which is where the bulk of the cost comes from. There's an Ancient of War, which is an epic, but most of the rest of them are either commons or rares. I really like this deck. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I would suggest that you head over to hearthstone.com to check out this deck for yourself. If you enjoy playing it, if you do play it and you enjoy playing it, please let me know, but also head over to Hearthstone and let the guy know that created this deck know that you enjoyed it as well. I hope you enjoyed this. Big Deck Player will be coming back regularly now that Wild and Standard are a thing. I'm hoping to find lots of cool new decks and new interesting decks, because it was getting a little bit stale before they introduced these new cards and this new way of playing. Alright, thanks very much for watching. I've rambled on for far too long already. I'm going to go enjoy playing the new cards in Hearthstone, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.